The underestimated species, the crystal spires of Zephyr Prime, stretched toward the crimson sky like the claws of some ancient beast. Within the highest tower, the Zephyrian High Command gathered around a holographic display showing the outer rim territories. Admiral Krex, his silver-scaled hide gleaming under the chamber's harsh lights, gestured dismissively at the scattered human colonies dotting the star map. "These parasites continue to spread across our territory," he hissed, his three eyes focusing on the assembled commanders. "Their breeding rate exceeds acceptable parameters. The High Council has authorized immediate cleansing operations." Commander Voss, her serpentine form coiled around her command chair, tilted her head in confusion. "Surely such primitive beings pose no threat, Admiral. Our intelligence reports indicate they still use chemical propulsion for interstellar travel. Their weapons are laughably outdated." A ripple of amusement passed through the chamber. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 47 star systems in the past century, each victory easier than the last. Their energy weapons could vaporize entire cities, and their fleet of 10,000 warships had never known defeat. Humans, with their short lifespans and crude technology, seemed hardly worth the fuel expenditure. Admiral Krex's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "Precisely why this will be a training exercise for our newer recruits. Deploy Battle Group 7 to the human colonies in Sector 12. Consider it pest control with educational benefits." Light years away from this casual dismissal of human life, Captain Maria Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Defiant Hope, watching the star patterns shift through the reinforced viewport. To any external observer, her vessel appeared to be nothing more than a research ship, its hull scarred from decades of exploration missions and its weapon ports cleverly disguised as sensor arrays. The truth was far different. The Defiant Hope represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, the culmination of 50 years of secret development and innovation. While the galaxy dismissed humans as primitive, Earth's brightest minds had been working in hidden laboratories, pushing the boundaries of physics and engineering far beyond what anyone thought possible. "Captain," called Lieutenant Commander James Park from the tactical station, his voice tight with controlled tension. "Long-range sensors are picking up multiple contacts. Zephyrian configuration, moving fast toward the Kepler colonies." Rodriguez felt her jaw tighten. The Kepler system housed nearly 2 million human civilians, families who had left Earth seeking new opportunities among the stars. They had no military protection, no way to defend themselves against what was coming. "Battle Group 7, she murmured, recognizing the formation patterns on her display. 50 heavy cruisers and support vessels. They're not coming to negotiate." The communications officer, Ensign Lisa Chen, looked up from her station with barely concealed fury. "Captain, we're receiving distress signals from Kepler Station. They're requesting immediate assistance, but the nearest Earth Defense Force patrol is 6 days away." Rodriguez made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. "All hands to battle stations, engage stealth systems and set course for the Kepler system, maximum burn." Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the ship's chief scientist and one of the architects of humanity's secret weapons program, rushed onto the bridge as alarm klaxons began to sound. "Maria, you can't be serious. 50 ships against one? Even with our advantages, the odds are impossible." "The odds were impossible when humans first looked up at the stars and decided to fly," Rodriguez replied, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was about to attempt. "The odds were impossible when our ancestors faced down predators, 10 times their size with nothing but sharp sticks and determination. We don't run from impossible odds, Sarah. We make them someone else's problem." The Defiant Hope transformed as its combat systems came online. Hull plates shifted to reveal weapon ports housing humanity's most closely guarded secrets. Quantum torpedoes that could phase through energy shields. Plasma cannons that fired concentrated stellar matter. Most importantly, the revolutionary AI system that could process battlefield information faster than any organic mind. Admiral Krex stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Stellar Dominance, as his fleet approached the Kepler system. The human colonies lay spread out before them like ripe fruit ready for harvest. He had been looking forward to this moment, eager to demonstrate Zephyrian superiority to any species that might be watching. "Sir," His sensor operator reported, "We're detecting one small vessel moving to intercept our formation. Classification appears to be a human research ship." Krex's laugh was a harsh, grating sound that echoed through the bridge. "One ship? They send one pathetic research vessel against a full battle group. The humans are even more foolish than intelligence suggested." He opened a communication channel, intending to offer the humans a chance to witness their colony's destruction before joining them in death. What he saw on his view screen made him pause. Captain Rodriguez stood calmly on her bridge, her expression showing neither fear nor desperation, only a cold, calculating determination that reminded him uncomfortably of a predator studying its prey. "Zephyrian fleet," she said, her voice carrying, clearly across the void. "You are approaching sovereign human territory with obvious hostile intent. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The bridge of the stellar dominance erupted in shocked laughter. Krex himself could barely contain his amusement. "Human, you are either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. 50 ships against 1. Your death will at least provide entertainment value." Rodriguez smiled, and something in that expression made Admiral Krex's amusement fade. 50 ships, she repeated. "Let me show you why that won't be enough." The battle began without warning. One moment the Defiant Hope was hanging motionless in space. The next, it had vanished from every sensor screen in the Zephyrian fleet. Advanced stealth technology, perfected in humanity's hidden research facilities, made the ship invisible to all conventional detection methods. Admiral Krex's first indication that something was wrong came when his flagship's massive energy shields simply disappeared. The defensive barriers that could withstand direct hits from stellar plasma cannons flickered and died as if they had never existed. Before he could even process what was happening, quantum torpedoes materialized inside his ship's hull, their exotic matter warheads rewriting the laws of physics in localized space. The stellar dominance, pride of the Zephyrian fleet and veteran of dozens of victories, came apart like a puzzle being disassembled by invisible hands. Bulkheads twisted into impossible geometries. Energy conduits became briefly sentient before dissolving into component atoms. Admiral Krex's last coherent thought was a profound confusion at how the universe had suddenly stopped making sense. Across the battle group, similar scenes of impossible destruction played out. Ships that had dominated space battles for decades found themselves facing an opponent that existed outside their understanding of warfare. The Defiant Hope struck from nowhere, hit with weapons that bypassed every known defensive system, then vanished again before return fire could be coordinated. Commander Voss, now the highest-ranking survivor as her own ship's hull began to buckle, under assault from weaponized quantum fields, managed to send one desperate message back to Zephyr Prime before her communications array dissolved into exotic particles. "Command, this is Battle Group 7. We are under attack by unknown human vessel employing impossible technology. Our fleet is being systematically destroyed. Request immediate reinforcement. Repeat, humans are not what we thought they were." The transmission cut off as the last Zephyrian ship in the system succumbed to humanity's advanced weaponry. 50 vessels that had arrived expecting easy victory now drifted as expanding clouds of superheated gas and twisted metal. Captain Rodriguez stood on her bridge, watching the aftermath with grim satisfaction. Around her, the crew worked with practiced efficiency to collect data on their weapons' performance and prepare for what would inevitably follow. "Casualties?" she asked. "Zero," reported Dr. Mitchell, her voice filled with amazement even though she had helped design the systems that made such a lopsided victory possible. "Hull integrity at 100%, all systems nominal." Rodriguez nodded, then activated the ship's long-range communication system. The message she sent would travel faster than light, reaching Earth's hidden command centers within hours. 3 words that would change everything. "Last stand protocol is authorized. On Earth, in a facility buried beneath the Swiss Alps, Admiral Jackson Hayes received the transmission with a mixture of pride and sorrow. He had hoped this day would never come, that humanity might find its place among the stars through peaceful exploration rather than military dominance. But the Zephyrians had made their choice, and now humanity would make theirs. Signal all deep space facilities, he ordered. Begin Phase 1 deployment. It's time the galaxy learned what humans are really capable of. Across human space, hidden shipyards that had been operating in secret for decades began launching their products. Vessels that made the Defiant Hope look primitive by comparison slipped their moorings and headed for strategic positions throughout the Outer Rim. Each ship represented years of research, innovation, and preparation for a war that humanity had hoped to avoid, but never doubted they could win. The Zephyrian Empire had made a fatal error in judgment. They had mistaken human patience for weakness, human diplomacy for fear, and human restraint for inability. Now they would learn the truth that had driven humanity from the caves of Earth to the edge of known space. When cornered, humans didn't surrender. They adapted, they innovated, they fought with a creativity and determination that had carried them through ice ages, plagues, and countless wars against impossible odds. And they never, ever gave up. The Last Stand Protocol was more than just a military response. It was humanity's promise to itself and to the universe. No matter how dark the odds became, no matter how powerful the enemy seemed, humans would find a way to survive and prevail. Phase 1 had begun. The Zephyrian Empire was about to discover why evolution had gifted humanity with such remarkable stubbornness. When humanity unleashes hell, the emergency session of the Zephyrian High Council convened in absolute chaos. Holographic displays showed the complete destruction of Battle Group 7, their most experienced commanders reduced to stellar debris by a single human vessel. The assembled military leaders, politicians, and scientists struggled to comprehend what they were witnessing. Supreme Commander Thane, his ancient form hunched over the central command console, studied the battle recordings with growing disbelief. His 4 centuries of military experience had taught him to recognize impossible odds and tactical genius, but what he saw defied every principle of warfare he understood. "Play the sequence again," he commanded, his voice carrying the authority of countless victories. The hologram flickered, showing the moment when 50 Zephyrian warships simply ceased to exist, their destruction so complete that even their debris had been reduced to base elements. Defense Minister Kara, her crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the chamber's emergency lighting, gestured toward the tactical analysis scrolling past on secondary displays. "Our best scientists confirm the weapon signatures are unlike anything in our databases. The humans appear to have achieved localized manipulation of quantum fields, something our physics models claimed was impossible." "Impossible, Supreme Commander," Thane repeated, his mandibles clicking in frustrated rhythm. "We've been calling human achievements impossible for decades while they quietly surpassed every species in the galaxy. How did our intelligence services miss the development of such advanced technology?" The question hung in the air like an accusation. For generations, Zephyrian arrogance had blinded them to humanity's true capabilities. They had seen what they expected to see: primitive beings struggling with basic interstellar travel, while the reality was far more dangerous. Admiral Zara, newly promoted to replace the deceased Krex, stepped forward with the grim determination of someone who understood the magnitude of their situation. "Supreme Commander, our remaining forces are requesting permission to withdraw from all human territories. Morale is collapsing as news of the battle spreads through the fleet." "Withdraw?" Thane's roar echoed through the chamber. "The Zephyrian Empire does not retreat from inferior species. Mobilize the Grand Fleet, every available warship, every weapon, every soldier. We will crush these humans once and for all and demonstrate to the galaxy what happens when you challenge our authority." The order that went out from Zephyr Prime would be remembered as the most catastrophic military decision in galactic history. 10,000 warships, the accumulated might of centuries of conquest, began converging on human space. The Grand Fleet represented the pride of Zephyrian civilization, vessels whose names were whispered in fear across dozens of star systems. Admiral Jackson Hayes stood in the command center of Earth's true military headquarters, watching the massive enemy formation approach through quantum sensors that could track movement across half the galaxy. Unlike the secret facility in Switzerland, this installation existed in a pocket dimension, its location known only to humanity's highest military leadership. Their entire fleet, reported General Sarah Kim, her expression mixing professional admiration with personal disgust. They're bringing everything they have. 10,000 ships in a single formation. Hayes nodded grimly. He had studied Zephyrian military doctrine for decades, preparing for this exact scenario. Their empire had grown through overwhelming force, crushing opponents with superior numbers and firepower. It was an effective strategy against conventional enemies, but humanity had never been conventional. Signal Phase 2 deployment, he ordered. All vessels to assume final positions. Activate the Titan field. The Titan Nebula had been humanity's secret for over 20 years. What appeared to external observers as a natural stellar phenomenon was actually an artificial construct, a weapons platform disguised as cosmic debris. Hidden within its swirling gases and electromagnetic storms were hundreds of automated defense systems, quantum mines, and the most advanced AI network ever created. Captain Rodriguez, now commanding a task force of 50 vessels, received her orders with the same calm determination that had carried her through the first engagement. The Defiant Hope had been joined by ships whose capabilities made her revolutionary vessel seem almost primitive by comparison. The Nemesis protocol bristled with weapons that could manipulate gravity itself. The Final Answer carried experimental devices that could induce stellar collapse in targeted areas. Most impressively, the human spirit served as a mobile command center whose quantum computers could coordinate tactics across multiple star systems simultaneously. All ships report ready, announced Commander Park, who had been promoted to serve as Rodriguez's second-in-command. Stealth systems at maximum efficiency. The enemy won't detect us until we're ready to engage. Dr. Mitchell, now serving as the task force's chief science officer, monitored the approaching Zephyrian armada through sensors that could analyze their technology in real time. Their shield configurations haven't changed since the last battle, she reported. They're still using the same defensive protocols that proved useless against our quantum weapons. Rodriguez felt a mixture of professional satisfaction and human sadness. The Zephyrians had learned nothing from their defeat, trapped by their own arrogance even as it led them toward destruction. They can't imagine that a primitive species like humanity could innovate faster than their established military doctrine, she observed. That blindness will cost them everything. The Grand Fleet entered the Titan Nebula with the confidence of predators entering familiar hunting grounds. Supreme Commander Thane, commanding from his massive flagship, Universal Dominance, surveyed the swirling cosmic phenomena with satisfaction. The nebula's interference would mask his fleet's approach, allowing them to strike human colonies without warning. "Sir," his sensor operator called out, "we're detecting unusual energy readings throughout the nebula. The patterns don't match natural stellar formations." Thane dismissed the report with an impatient gesture. "Cosmic interference is expected. In this type of environment, maintain course toward the human core systems. Today we finish what we started." The first indication that something was terribly wrong came when his forward scouts simply vanished. One moment 50 advanced vessels were probing the nebula's outer edges, the next their communication signals cut off without explanation. Thane ordered additional reconnaissance, only to watch those ships disappear as well. "Sir," his communications. Officer reported with barely controlled panic. "We're receiving a transmission. Audio only. Source unknown." Admiral Hayes's voice cut through the cosmic static with the clarity of absolute authority. "Zephyrian Grand Fleet, you have entered sovereign human territory with hostile intent. Your advance forces have been neutralized. Withdraw immediately or share their fate." Thane's response was immediate and predictable. "Unknown human commander, you face the combined might of the Zephyrian Empire. 10,000 ships against your handful of primitive vessels. Surrender now, and your death will be swift." The laughter that answered him carried no humor, only grim determination. "You still don't understand," Hayes replied. "You're not facing a handful of ships. You're facing humanity. And we don't surrender." The battle that followed would be studied by military historians for centuries to come. Not for its duration, but for its devastating efficiency, the Titan Nebula revealed its true nature as humanity's ultimate defensive weapon. Its artificial storms disrupting Zephyrian sensors, while quantum mines materialized throughout their formation. Ships that had conquered star systems found themselves fighting an environment that turned physics into a weapon. Gravity wells appeared without warning, crushing vessels into compressed metal spheres. Stellar matter, contained and directed by human technology, burned through armor that had withstood direct hits from nuclear weapons. The human task force struck like surgical instruments, their stealth technology allowing them to appear inside enemy formations before vanishing again. Each attack targeted critical systems with precision that spoke of detailed intelligence and tactical superiority. Command ships found their bridges dissolved by quantum weapons while their crews were still processing the impossibility of what was happening. Supreme Commander Thane watched his invincible armada crumble around him as humanity demonstrated why they had spread from a single world to the edge of known space. Their weapons were revolutionary, but their true advantage lay in something the Zephyrians had never understood: the human refusal to accept defeat. "Sir," his tactical officer screamed over the sounds of his ship's death throes, "we've lost 70% of the fleet. Hull breaches on all decks. Primary systems failing." Thane stared at the tactical display showing the systematic destruction of everything he had spent his life building. The Grand Fleet, symbol of Zephyrian dominance, was being reduced to cosmic debris by opponents who fought with a creativity and determination that exceeded his worst nightmares. His final transmission would be found years later in the wreckage of his flagship, a desperate plea that reached Zephyr Prime just before the universal dominance joined the rest of the fleet in oblivion. "Command, the humans are not what we believed. They are not primitive. They are not weak. They are the apex predators of this galaxy, and we have awakened them. May the cosmos forgive us for what we have unleashed." When the battle ended, space around the Titan Nebula was littered with the remains of the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever assembled. 10,000 ships reduced to scrap metal and superheated gas, their crews' final moments spent in wonder at facing an opponent whose capabilities exceeded their comprehension. "Captain," Rodriguez stood on her bridge watching the aftermath through sensors that painted a picture of total human victory. Around her, the task force maintained their positions while automated systems began the process of salvaging useful technology from Zephyrian wrecks. "Casualty report," she requested, already knowing what the answer would be. "0 human losses," Commander Park replied, his voice filled with professional pride and personal satisfaction. "Minor damage to 3 vessels, all easily repaired. Total enemy casualties estimated at 4 million. Dr. Mitchell's analysis confirmed what every human had suspected from the beginning of the conflict. Their technology was impressive by galactic standards, but fundamentally limited by conventional thinking. They never imagined that a younger species might innovate beyond established parameters. The news of humanity's overwhelming victory spread through the galaxy faster than light, carried by automated beacons and surviving witnesses who had watched the impossible become reality. Species that had dismissed humans as barely civilized primitives suddenly found themselves reevaluating everything they thought they knew about galactic power structures. On Earth, Admiral Hayes addressed the combined leadership of human space, with words that would define their species' role in cosmic affairs for generations to come. "Today we prove that humanity's place among the stars will not be determined by others. We are not the galaxy's youngest children or its newest students. We are its newest apex predators, and every species in known space now understands that fact." The Zephyrian Empire, stripped of its military might and facing internal collapse, sued for peace within days of the Grand Fleet's destruction. Their surrender terms were simple: complete withdrawal from all human territories, reparations for damages caused by their aggression, and formal recognition of humanity as a galactic power. But the true victory was not military or political. It was the knowledge that humans had faced impossible odds against a technologically superior enemy, and emerged triumphant through innovation, determination, and the stubborn refusal to accept defeat that had carried their species from prehistoric caves to interstellar dominance. The Last Stand protocol had served its purpose, Humanity no longer needed to hide their capabilities or pretend to be less than they were. The galaxy had learned what humans were truly capable of when pushed to their limits. As the human fleet returned to Earth in triumph, they carried with them the respect of former enemies and the fear of potential threats. The age of human submission was over. The age of human ascendancy had begun, and throughout known space, the lesson echoed with crystal clarity. When you underestimate humanity, you don't get a second chance to correct your mistake.